Hey, I'm Freddie Allen. Welcome to Recorder Revelations. So my last video, I tried to do a voiceover, whatever, and it didn't work out very well. But somebody commented on there that everything I had was just quartz, and I didn't have anything else. Everything was just quartz, and so I do have a lot of quartz, and here's most of like quartz and feldspar and even copper minerals and stuff like that. And most of them have been tumbled, polished some, whatever. I do have some others, some amethyst and stuff like that. I've got some also that are polished down here in this jar. And some more like smaller, like druzy type amethyst crystals there. Then I got some opal, agate, quite a bit of most of it's opal in there. And then got I've got a couple little quartz crystals here just to check them out real quick. This one's double terminated. And they're pretty well crystalline. But and you know that the thing about rocks, I don't know, they're so I don't know. There's so many complex things, they can form in so many different ways and forms. And anyway, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but so I do have a lot of quartz, and there's quartz mixed in a lot of the metamorphic rocks too, and small amounts, lamellar layers, and then there's like geodes and agate and chalcedone and all kinds of other stuff. I can't really pronounce it all right, so I don't want to try to list it off, but that's really not everything I have, though. I mean, here's some tourmaline crystals here, and then some in the back, more like massive form, I guess. Like, I guess that's what that means. I don't. When you read about minerals, and it tells you that they can occur, and you know what, the crystalline family or whatever, if they're hexagonal or cubic or whatever, and then but then they also tell you that that they can form this way and that way. And massive is something like automatically I would think it means large or huge, or but really I guess it means like more of a like probably polycrystalline maybe, or amorphous, even partially amorphous. I don't know. I'm not real sure what it means, but you can see the stuff like the watermelon stuff right there. Like, it's not in prismatic crystals like these front ones, and a couple of them have been tumbled. I haven't tumbled a lot of them because I got some garnets right there in the jar. They're polished in a tumbler. These are probably garnets too, possibly spinel. I'm not 100% sure, but likely garnet maybe. And then I think some of these are probably spinel. I think, I don't know. Like I said, everything on here, everything I say is to my best guess. I mean, is according to the hardness and some other, little tests and whatever, the I think some of these might be burl, possibly. Like, well, these back here are, I think those are spinel, and this one over here is real smooth, but I think the larger one is about the same in a rougher form. And then it's a lot like this over here. That's more like a xenolith, I guess, or like mantle matrix type of rock. I don't know exactly what. I don't know, all the things that they call on it, it seems, I don't know. But I'll let you check it out here a little bit better. It's got some blue, brown, some yellow in it. I mean, it could be corundum, spinel, and, quartz, a number of things. I mean, it's pretty hard though, like everything else that I have. The hardness is, I mean, this is about the best it'll scrub down with aluminum oxide, like really coarse aluminum oxide sandpaper. And I'd scrub it all day and it won't change. Just like a lot of these other rocks I have. And then I've got some other, like, naturally altered rocks, like, oxidized and erosion, decay of different types, different stages. And I'll try to get a little closer look. I think the one on the right here is probably like a decayed spinel maybe, or corundum or something like that. The one on the left, I'm not sure. It has some yellow in it, and they're different crystals, like as inclusions in the colorless part. And then, like I said, this one I think is maybe spinel with maybe garnet and some other accessory minerals, and it's been like corroded, pretty high levels of decay and oxidation and stuff like that, resorption. And then and a lot of these rocks have different amounts of resorption and stuff to them too, from like a fluid melt or like H2O or CO2 fluid, something like that. And then others or maybe grew after that, or like chemical vapor, almost like fibrous. I don't know. I think, anyways. I don't know Again, I don't know that much really. I've tried studying and done a lot of research, and these ones are pretty neat, just the way that they're. Like this one's got a lot of resorption to it, and it looks water worn or whatever, but it's not. That's from the resorption, like I said, a fluid melt or whatever. That like some kind of metamorphism, and these ones as well. And then these ones, just like I said, different levels of amounts and different. I don't know. Others seem like they're more like fractured, or from, I guess, the fluid, going, or pressure, whatever, cracks them, and then the fluid goes up between the cracks and fills them, and then some of it crystallizes it, some of it may be amorphous, and like, see, like carbonate glass and silica glass, and there's some structures that are kind of diamond-like, and there's some that are kind of corundum-like, and it's, but really, I mean, it seems like, for the most part, like, they all form in the same crystal system, kind of, like, they all have this, I don't know how to explain it, it's kind of like this rotational, the way it crystals, like this right here, and see, I scrubbed this with aluminum oxide, and I've made all these flat surfaces, like, pretty easily, too, like, and I mean, I make dust, but when you get over to these, like the garnets, like, obviously they're not as hard either. But when you get up to this stuff, like, that's why I think it's, spinel and likely some beryl over here, aquamarine, and maybe morganite or whatever to the right. And then these look like ametrine or whatever, but they're much harder than quartz. So I'm thinking maybe spinel. I'm not sure though. I really don't know. Like I said, I've scented that green piece of tourmaline like very easily with the aluminum oxide and made all those flat faces on it. These I've scrubbed them probably 10 times longer, and I can't scrub a flat spot, or I can't sand them away. They don't make no dust. They don't lose any weight. Some of them, the surfaces have become pretty foggy and stuff from the abrasion, but some of them not even that. Maybe a few scratches, but then I think the sandpaper gets contaminated too with possibly harder particles of something, diamond type or diamond like. Maybe silicon carbide even, like, I don't think it's been found much in nature either, but I have quite a few rocks that I think could possibly be silicon carbide or whatever they call it, moissanite or something like that. But these are my favorites in the jar right here. They're kind of just, I don't think I'll ever get rid of those ones. I like to just have them in my pocket, kind of. But these, I think could be, I don't know. Like I said, the hardness. This one right here is kind of prismatic, kind of not. It looks black, like opaque, but it's not. It's translucent. And as you can see, it's blue to purplish, lavenderish, kind of a smoky lavender or something. But, and again, the hardness, like I've scrubbed most of these like thoroughly, and even some of them with silicon carbide as well, not just the aluminum oxide. But these I think are probably corundum, some pretty much specimen grade, possibly a little gem grade in there, but I don't know. But nice color, like the sapphire and ruby combo there. If it's corundum, I don't, I think that's what it is, but all been scrubbed thoroughly. This right here also is kind of unique, has kind of a plasticky texture. I can't explain it, but it's still hard. Like if it was like a super plastic, but but because I can't, I can't sand it down either, and it has really neat color to it, and the red and blue, and kind of some like yellowish, rainbowish type. I don't know. And this right here is well, let's see here. The red piece there in the middle, that was a piece of the other one I just showed you that I said was like plasticky kind of. The pink and blue seem kind of like they're probably corundum or sapphire in the, sapphire and pink corundum or whatever in the grains or veins. These colorless ones, they're really hard. I don't know. I break all of these rocks from bigger rocks similar to these, even bigger than these. So I've broken these actually from larger rocks also. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of stuff going on in there. It does look like a lot of quartz, and at a glance it looks like it would be just quartz, but I don't think, it's hard, much harder than quartz. And I think it's got a lot of garnet and possibly spinel and, some other higher pressure minerals. It seems like a lot of these are, have taken on some form of shock, to some degree, either like whether by impact or eruption, or some of them seem like they have features from impact rocks, and then others seem more like volcanic type eruption type rocks, and then others are just, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain them. They're like have crazy features. But anyway, not really that crazy. There's lots of rocks, like even like I was saying about the quartz and the different forms it forms in, and the things that it experiences. But these, like I said, are much harder, and you see the structures are very complex, and a lot of them seem like they're real random, just like smashed together but they're not. They're really very like specific in their structure, and they all seem to fit into the same like ball shape kind of conglomerate of like radiating crystals, kind of, and and they all have some hollow spots in them. Some of them are even filled with other minerals, and some of them aren't. Whether they've decayed or eroded out, or if they never had them, I don't know. This looks like it could be some corundum there too, and then these right here with the, you could tell it had like like flow patterns or whatever, kind of like the orange bowl there too. But that's a clay bowl that my daughter made in a pottery class. But anyway, the yeah, like the flow patterns and then like I said, those look pretty similar. And then the shapes, and I don't know. I really don't know what to say. You know I started studying all these rocks. Just I never expected to find gems like all these. I found one amazing rock that had stuff in it that when I broke it open and got to it, and anybody I'd show any of it to, that nobody would believe that it was natural. That they'd say it was some kind of glass, man-made glass, or slag glass, or this or that, or and it's frustrating when you know take a rock like one of these, and you break it, and then you find something amazing inside, and then everybody you show it to, tries to tell you, oh, that's like that's not natural or whatever, and I know full well it is, and it gets frustrating. There's really no glory to finding, discovering anything like that, if you're not somebody with a reputation already, in the trade. Like, I don't know. But anyways, I started studying all these just to compare, and learn from my own, and man, so these rocks that I found, this is what I had a video short with the red giant, and I'm gonna get to them in a minute. I just wanted to keep getting some close details of some of these real quick, the more specimen grade stuff. And I said that right there was a larger crystal that had resorption, but here we go. This is like, there's the red giant now. It's after being tumbled with some diamond grit for a few weeks, and then tried cleaving it or parting it, whatever, and kind of missed the mark a little bit, but that's what's left of it. It's like 294 carats, and I also have this piece. It's like 47 carats, I think, 46 or 47 carats, and it's a pretty nice piece if I can get it focused. But I have such a hard time focusing. But I have a hard time with everything I do. But then the orange and red stuff around, like that, like this was all one rock, and then like real glassy matrix material, and then some of them are crystals, like pretty obvious, and then some of them are still clusters or have a lot of but yeah. And this was an inclusion. The red giant was an inclusion in the center of all that glassy matrixy type stuff, kind of like that. This one here, which I think is the glassy stuff, is like a fine grain spinel or something, the matrix, and then possibly burl in there, like corundum, I don't know, some really different stuff. These really red ones, this one, that one, and the one on the end right here, they were all one big rock as well, and I broke it as well, and it was in the middle. It was right up against this one, the red giant, and they were like back to back against each other. Maybe a fine glassy matrix in between them, but not much if there was. And then the rest of this was, this was, a lot of it was like that, swirled and really, but, and then some was really transparent, like these really vivid orange ones. But even the swirly ones, like I said, is still not random. These ones are really, I don't know if they're corundum or orange diamond or of some sort, or carbide, I don't know. But I mean, a lot of them are really hard. Some are not as hard as the rest. Like, but then with the glassy matrix and stuff and lamellar layers and shit, there could be, So when I break them, like there's parts that'll come off in the tumbler. It'll wear it off, or sand it down. Even in the sandpaper will take it down until it hits something harder, and then it won't sand it anymore. And that's where most of these have all been sanded for. I've spent so many hours sanding rocks, my hands like hurt, and all this stuff, and also the yellow too. There's a few pieces in there that I have not sanded or tumbled, like they're just natural, but the rest of them, that's why they're a little kind of foggy from the tumbler and the diamond grit and stuff. And this isn't the same rock, but it's similar to what surrounded all that glassy matrix stuff. And you can see there's a lot of resorption and fluid type morphologies, whatever it's called. And this right here, this is kind of not as fluidy. Still has like a like it had some kind of flow through the veins, but not as much, and still maintains some crystals and even maybe recrystallization. But it's probably a lot of maybe garnet and spinel and stuff like that too, or higher pressure phases and stuff. I don't know. Like this right here is like a fibrous, like it was probably like a chemical vapor type, the way it crystallized, and so the little particles just cling together and crystallize that way. I guess that's what I get from it. But and a lot of these maybe precipitated or whatever that way, formed that way as well. But I don't know. It seemed like pure chaos when I first started studying them, but the more I've studied all these other rocks and compared and studied these more, like I said, there's very specific structure to it, and these fit into the same, that same like ball-shaped conglomerate, or, like, I don't know how to, but yeah, they still seem to, even though they're much finer grain, very transparent, very glassy, they still have the same structures and make the same exact shapes in different like atomic scales and sizes. Like it's got a long range order. Maybe some places in it might be amorphous with not really a short range order, but definitely has a long range order to the the way that the particles bond and crystallize, whatever. Some of them seem kind of cubic, some of them seem kind of hexagonal, and then this piece right here was actually, well, there was a smooth part at the top, and like almost seemed like a big prism, like about 3 inches in diameter, but it was real smooth like that on top. But anyways, I got to move on. You can see with the dime there that these are all pretty good sized chunks. I have smaller, like this stuff right here. There's a lot of the smaller stuff, and I have tons more. And this really, transparent, and I think there's probably a lot of crystals in here, or like gem quality, like that can be cut. I think, some of it's matrix material, or like, it might just be amorphous, like spinel or something like that, or, maybe even tourmalines or feldspars, I don't know. I think they're, for the most part, a lot of it's harder than that, but there's some that's probably, about you know, any range from a 6.5 to 7.5. Then that right there, as you can see, well, it's disappearing now at the top right. Anyway, never mind. I'll get to that later. But yeah, so these are why I started studying rock so much. I mean, my granddad was a rock hound, and I used to go with him as a kid. And when he passed away, I just kind of lost interest, and I had, this big chunk that these were all in. Like, it was just sitting in my shed for years, like in a Foot Locker, and then and it kind of broke apart in there. Wasn't real careful with stuff, but anyways, years later, going through my crap, I gathered the pieces out of there, and I just always just kept them kind of put away somewhere, and then I got a divorce, and just was kind of going through some stuff, and I really didn't have anything left but my pickup and these stupid rocks, and so I started checking them out, thinking they might be worth something. Maybe I could do something with them, and then like I said, I take them anywhere. They say they're glass and blah blah blah, and, so I don't know. I was to the point of maybe giving up, and then I don't know, started learning a little bit about. I mean, I didn't learn much, obviously, but started finding out a little bit about YouTube, and so I decided maybe I would give it a go and try, making a channel and seeing what kind of response I could get. If anybody would, anybody out there to see them, the more people that see them, the better. I mean, somebody's going to recognize that there's something pretty phenomenal, not just some, garbage glass. I don't know. But like I said, I mean, I broke them from a rock myself, like I do all these, and never expected to find that, and actually, I mean, I didn't necessarily break that when it broke in my Foot Locker, and but when I opened it and found the pieces, it took me a while to kind of remember what the hell it even was, really, like trying to figure out what these pieces were, and then and then that the red giant, and then the other large red, and it's more like a fire engine red at that time, and I don't know. So I started studying these breaking rocks, and finding more crystals and more crystals, or all these. Just, I mean, it's, and I too just assumed a lot of it was quartz for a long time, until I started getting to the hardness and figuring out more consistent ways to test the hardness. I use an aluminum, or not an aluminum, but a CRV steel, polished steel, and that is supposed to be an 8.5, on the Mohn scale. So I use that to test everything, scratch it, and some, of course the quartz and stuff does not scratch it. The spinel, beryl, garnet, tourmaline, none of that stuff will scratch it. The only thing that should scratch it is, basically corundum or silicon carbide or diamond, or, comparable things like that. Possibly chrysoberyl, or whatever it's called. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but maybe. But those are the only things that should be able to scratch the CRV steel, and like I said, a good majority of this stuff will scratch it. Some of it pretty easily. Most of it pretty easily, I guess. But I mean, there's a few pieces where you have to press a little harder. But But anyways, so that's my collection, and I just wanted to make another video, and thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, I mean, thank you to the subscribers, first of all. I'm almost to 500. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I really appreciate it. I need subscribers. And but anyways, take care and have faith. God bless. And until next time.